Mike Tirico joins us now. Hey, Mike, how are you, buddy?
Mike, how we doing?
Oh, we're doing great on this Friday morning. And the Lamar Jackson interview, I'm looking forward to watching all of it. You know, an opportunity to sit down and really get to know a guy that we don't know much about. What was your big takeaway from having an extended opportunity to talk to the second-year quarterback?
Yeah, that was one of the reasons to do this also. You know, Patrick Mahomes, I think, has gotten the understandable ton of attention after last year's MVP season. Baker Mayfield when he came in, but Lamar Jackson, for a guy who won the Heisman Trophy in his first couple of years at Louisville, and then has come to the NFL, has not gotten as much attention. And perhaps he kind of is in lockstep with Baltimore. For whatever reason over the years, the Ravens have been in the shadow of Pittsburgh within their own division there, but certainly not to play. I don't know why national attention does not fall to the Ravens more often. So Lamar is a very warm, easy-to-like type of player and person. I'll give you an example. Let's start the anecdote here. So you remember the Pittsburgh game they played. Lamar's running to the sidelines, and a female photographer, was there, and Lamar ends up making contact with her, knocks her down, stops, and tries to help her up before going back to the huddle. So the next day, Lamar hops on social media and on Twitter, direct messages, DMs the photographer to make sure she's doing okay. That's the kind of guy and person Lamar is, and that's what I found around him. And I'll tell you this, Mike, Baltimore was always a place of big personalities. Lamar is the guy who's in the middle of it all now in that Ravens locker room, even though he's only been there 2 years.
And they were thrilled to get him when they sprang back into round one with the 32nd pick, 5 quarterbacks taken in 2018. Mike, right now, I hate to say this, and all due respect to Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen, but Lamar Jackson is the clear number one based upon performances in 2019.
That's exactly right. When you look at it record-wise, you look at what's happened, how it's played out, and you remember this team turned over a team that was quarterbacked by a Super Bowl champion in Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson, who had a completely different skill set. And what they've done, and they made the decision in the draft room that day, if we're going to go here, this is John Harbaugh, Ozzie Newsome at the time, Eric DeCosta, we're going to have to go all in. And all in means the type of offensive lineman, the type of running backs, be a more tight end-based offense, which they always were good at. And they have. And that has allowed Lamar Jackson to take his college skill set and make the jump over to the NFL a little bit easier than perhaps the other quarterbacks who come in as a rookie without as much talent around them. So this has been a really unique organizational decision, and I fully credit the Ravens for going down a road that was right there in front of them, but was a difficult road to make the turn, and they did. So good on them for doing it. I'm excited that they've done it, and I've enjoyed watching how Lamar has developed as a player as well. He wants to be a passer. He does not want to be known as the running quarterback. He's very proud of that 5-touchdown pass effort against Miami. He wants to be the guy to distribute the ball downfield, not just run the ball effectively.
And we've seen more and more, Mike, NFL coaches realizing that what a quarterback does well at college is what you should have him do at the NFL level. Use the same offense, adapt the same concepts, and it's working so far for the Ravens. But the one big caveat that we've discussed, Mike, and I'm sure you discussed with Lamar Jackson earlier this week, at some point, those hits he takes, right? You can only take so many of those before you're not going to be able to get up. How concerned is he that he's taking too much physical abuse the way that he plays the game?
Well, I even posed the question to him, Mike, and it's something that you're a witness to. I said, I sit next to, in our Sunday screening room for Football Night in America, Tony Dungy on my left, Rodney Harrison on my right, and at some point, any one of the three of us say, man, this kid's going to get hurt. He can't take all these hits. And Lamar's like, hey, I can. I'm okay. He's like, I'm smart about it, too. He's being smart about getting himself out of bounds, getting himself down. But he feels like the way he's built, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it's our memories of him when he won the Heisman at Louisville, he looks a little slighter than he is. He is thick. He's tall. He's 6'1". He's powerful. And he has that in him. So he feels like he can take that kind of extra hits that other quarterbacks aren't getting, guys who are pure pocket passers, and still be okay. But he also sees his game as evolving as to not just being a runner, but being a complete quarterback. So when I asked him directly, he said, I'm good. I can do this. I can get through this. I'm not taking too many hits. So time will answer that question, but that's where his mind is. And look, we'll see Sunday. What do the Patriots do best, better than anybody in the modern NFL? They take away what you do best. What the Ravens do best is Lamar Jackson running. So will they make Lamar Jackson throw the ball to win the game? Can they get to that point? That'll be the fascinating thing to watch on Sunday night.
And there's a very healthy amount of dislike between the Ravens and the Patriots. This is the first time Lamar Jackson is going to see the Patriots. Did you get the impression that he's gotten the memo that this is one of the teams that the Ravens collectively hate?
I'm sure that's easy to figure out just by being around Baltimore. I'm sure he's got that. I will say this. He has, as you would imagine, immense respect for Tom Brady and looking up to Tom Brady and calling him the GOAT and all of that. Mike, I think he had the soundbite / quote of the first half of the season for me. He said, Tom Brady, when he's in the pocket, it's like he's on vacation. And he talked about wanting to be that calm in the pocket. And now just think of that visual. I love it. And that's where the kid's aspiring to go. So it gives you a mindset of where he's going forward, but also a little bit of his personality as well. He's just pure, honest, very, very likable young man. And I hope that we continue to see him grow because, look, these are, as you were alluding to earlier, with Mayfield and Rosen and all the other guys and all these drafts, these are the future quarterbacks of the league. And we saw Garoppolo play well last night. And Kyler Murray, every time we watch Kyler Murray, you go, okay, you know what? Getting better. This is where the league is going. It's an exciting group of young men, and Lamar's right there in the middle of it.
Yeah, and Lamar's right in the middle of the MVP conversation, and I'd say he's one of the 3 or 4 leading candidates right now, Mike. He has to keep doing what he's done. He has to stay healthy, but and they never really give you a definition of what MVP means. But when you look at value to the Ravens, if we're gonna base it on value to your team, it is clear that this Ravens team wouldn't be anywhere close to 5-2 without him.
It's a great conversation to get people sparked and inspired, make them do a deeper dive, Mike. 7 yards, just under 7 yards per carry average. His before contact yardage, before anybody touches him, speed, ability, play design, is 4.2 yards. That's what the league averages per run. So he's getting the league average before anybody touches him. Great Pro Football Focus numbers on Lamar Jackson that give you that insight. He's 10th in the league in rushing. His passer rating is higher than Phillip Rivers. He's in the middle of the pack. So if you get a guy who could be top 10 in rushing and top 12 or 14 in passer rating all rolled into one, yeah, you're right. With an 11-win team, that would garner MVP conversation. And I think important night, too, for the Ravens, Mike, at home against the Patriots. Obviously, the Patriots are undefeated. The Steelers have a tough game against Indianapolis. They didn't set the world on fire in the first part of the game against Miami. They are home for Indy. But if Indy, a good team, goes in there and beats Pittsburgh, and Baltimore has a chance to take a 3-game lead in the loss column on the Steelers, that would be significant. All of a sudden, if Pittsburgh wins at home and then the Patriots beat Baltimore, now this division race becomes tight for the second half of the season. I think a very pivotal week here for the Ravens in the AFC North race.
Hey, Mike, and let's broaden it just a little bit as well, because the Ravens are a serious contender to be the number 2 seed in the AFC and get the bye week that goes along with it. With the Chiefs now at 5-3, Patrick Mahomes, who knows what's going to happen with him? Will we see him this Sunday? If he doesn't play this Sunday, they lose to the Vikings. They fall to 5-4. You start to get separation there, and it could be the Ravens 2 seed, Patriots 1 seed. And if the Ravens would happen to win Sunday night, they can start thinking about possibly being the 1 seed.
That's a long way away, but you're right when you start thinking of it that way. And same true with the winner of the AFC South. They're also going to be in that conversation for the 2 seed as well. I think the Kansas City thing is really fascinating. Already 3 losses at home. A team you know so well, the Vikings, coming into town to play them at Arrowhead. But could it be possible that through half the season, plus 9 weeks, that Kansas City could have 4 home losses? That would be stunning stuff, but it is a possibility. And you start to look back, okay, have they beaten anybody at home? Yeah, they beat Baltimore at home. So they hold that for tiebreaker purposes. But I think while the matchups may not be super sexy here, these couple of games, that Minnesota-Kansas City game, the Sunday night game, are going to have a long way to determining how the AFC shakes out when we get done with this.
Let's flip it over to the NFC in the last minute or two that I have you here. Who do you think the best team in that conference is right now?
I can make a really good argument in my head for all three of the group of San Francisco, New Orleans, and Green Bay. If you start to ask me, I know I'm trying to take the recency bias away, just having watched San Francisco, where their defense maybe gave you a little bit of a question of their dominance by giving up 25 to Arizona. But your questions about Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, are eased after you watch the way he played last night. So let's keep San Francisco where you thought they were before the Thursday night game. That New Orleans defensive front is terrific. And right now, with Breeze back healthy, coming off a bye this week, going into a rested and healthy Breeze, I like the way New Orleans stacks up for the second half of the season. I think because of the difficulty of the NFC North, it'll be a little bit tougher for Green Bay to get to the top. So that's dancing around the question. I think if you forced me for an answer right now, I would begrudgingly give you New Orleans, but I would say incomplete would be the grade there. I think we need to see the second half of the season.
It is going to be a heck of a scramble in the NFC for playoff spots, for bye weeks for the number one seed, because you don't want to go to New Orleans in January. You don't want to go to Lambeau Field in January. San Francisco is going to want to be right at home and force those teams to come to them. All right, Mike, great stuff. The Lamar Jackson interview available on the Mike Tirico podcast and the NBC Sports YouTube channel at youtube.com/NBC Sports. Mike, thanks for some of your time on a Friday morning. Enjoy Notre Dame and Virginia Tech tomorrow, and we'll see you Sunday for Football Night in America.
See you bright and early Sunday morning, Mike. Thanks. Have a great weekend, pal.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.